Good evening and welcome to Rangers Radio. Joining myself tonight, Southside, on the show is three gentlemen. Some know them as the good, the bad and the ugly, but I've always known them as Old Bear, Port Bear and Bridgeman. How you doing, guys?
I'm good, mate. How you doing, Port Bridge?
Hi, good lads. Thanks very much for having us on, Southside. Hope you're all well. Bridgeman, Old Bear, good.
Bridge?
Come
off mute, Bridge.
I'm off it on. I'm trying to get across. Easy boy.
You're very soft-spoken, man.
A huge good evening to you guys, the panel. Massive good evening to the guys in the lobby and to all the Rangers fans listening in all over the world. Good evening. Welcome to Rangers Radio.
Aye, how you doing anyway, guys? I take it since we're just going to start the night, I think we should try and talk about football, guys. I think it'd be good to try and get back to that than some of the off-field stuff that we've been hearing the last couple of days, Albert.
I think it's a good idea, mate. Let's be honest, none of us know the right stories of any of it, so you only can pass comments so many times and it's the same stuff, so there's not much else we can say about it.
I heard you report last night as well. You know you were on last night, mate, and you're back tonight by popular demand. So I think it was a bit much for yourself.
Aye, mate. You know, as Albert just says, there's only so much. There's only so many you can spin it in there. There's only so many ways you can spin it and make it sound a bit different. It's difficult, mate. Obviously, we understand there's a lot of bears out there want to come in and say their piece on it, mate, and you maybe don't know how to stop it. But you know, it'd be great to get back to the football chat, mate. Definitely.
Aye. That's the way I was going to do it tonight. I've just got a wee theory. When we're talking about the squads and that, I've heard people talking about squads and the depth of our squad. And at the moment, in my opinion, there is 5, and I'll say 1, and I'll leave the one to the end. It's the 5th. But I think at the moment we've got 4 players that, for me, between now and the end of the season, is undroppable. I've got to play every single week. And Bridgeman, I'll come to you first and then I'll come to Old Bear, because I've heard you say he's the best player we've got at the club. And the first player that I think is undroppable between now and the end of the season is Alfredo Morelos.
100%, pal. 100%. And he is the best player at the club. Without a doubt, he's the best player at the club, in my opinion. And can I give want me to mention any more? You want me to give you my 4?
Well, no, I know the now.
Okay, that's fine. Yes, Alfredo Morelos, undroppable. He's the best, and shall we say, he's probably the most skillful player we've got, and for his size and bulk, he's really, really skillful. And so what a brain. He really does. Unfortunately, he's got these wee habits of forgetting what he's doing with the ball and passes it to the wrong person or pushes it out the path. But in general, he's a tremendous player. Great man to bring into the game. He can come forward, pick the ball up, and lay it off well. Marvellous player. Best player at Ibrox for me.
Albert, when you look at his sort of record of what he's done in Europe just this season, with 9 appearances and 4 goals. But I just think, no including Europe, just in the league, mate, I think he's one that is undroppable for us. We need to have him playing every week, eh?
Well, I know. I've got a wee bit different view on it. I've got a view horses for courses, and there's certain positions that applies to. Other positions it doesn't. Centre forward is one of the positions that apply to, unless he's banging in 50 goals a season. Then you go, no, he's undroppable. No, you can't take that amount of goals out of a team. But he's not scoring 50 goals. Nobody's scoring 50 goals for that matter. But I know when he's on his game, definitely undroppable. But when he's the way he's playing now with that wee injury, he's got a wee injury now, and it's causing him problems. I'd say he is droppable now. I know that sounds strange, but it's just the way I see it, mate.
No, you're entitled to your opinion, pal, and there might be 1 or 2 albeit they're agreeing with you, but I'm just saying, with the squad fit, I just think Alfie's undroppable, in my opinion. Port, I think he brings everything to the team. You know, he's involved in everything. I prefer him to be further up the park, more in the box than dropping short. But I think we've made him a far better player in the last 2 or 3 seasons than what we had before, eh?
Definitely. If you think the evolution since we brought him into the club when he was a young raw goal scorer, came from Finland and didn't hear much about him. Came in and he did start scoring goals pretty much immediately. But under Gerrard and even more so under Gio, mate, he's becoming a player that has become a real focal point and a real leader for the front. The work rate he's got, we've said it more times in the show. He can handle a back four himself. He can play that single role which a modern day striker has. One thing I've been critical of Rangers in particular as a squad, Southside, is not scoring enough goals. For the amount of chances we create, a striker worth any salt, should be scoring 30 plus a season. I don't care who you are, but Morelos, Roof, Sakala, whoever it may be, as a number 9 for Rangers, should score 25 plus Southside. But Alfie does a lot of work outside the box, and this is why I mentioned last week when I was on, because the most natural finisher at a club, in my opinion, is Kamal Roof. How do we horseshoe two together to get more goals? Because I don't think we score enough for the chances created, mate. But Alfredo's a number 1 pick for me. But I just think he needs a bit of help up there.
I think Port, since we've adapted these games slightly where he does come short and get involved, and I think that probably takes away from being in the box just as a natural goal scorer. We have made him a better all-round player. I don't think he's a great instinctive finisher. I think Albert, I agree. I think Roof's a far better finisher. When the chances come, he seems more calm and knows. Alfie seems to snatch at things, but to me, he's just a powerhouse. He keeps defenders busy, Albert, and as much as I respect your opinion, I think you probably think if you're going to play Roof, then you need to play Roof through the middle as a number 9. Is that what you'd be saying?
Well, yeah, it's the way it is the new. You've got to play what you've got. But at the moment, we've got Roof and we've got Sakala. By getting Disney count because he's stinking. So that's what you've got. They 3, Morelos, Sakala and Roof. So they all need to start chipping in with the goals. That's the most important thing. As you're just talking about somebody leading the line, Salfie all day long. No, I mean, there's no doubt about that. He will lead a line. But you'll need to have the right players run about him. And we haven't got them at the club at the moment. You've got to have players that, if you're using him as a platform, they've got to get by him and take the ball off him. He'll supply the ball to them. And then if the wingers are going up that wing, they need to look for him. And other movement in the ball gets him space. Like Roof will make a move and take defenders away from him, and he'll get space. Sakala just causes chaos everywhere he goes, for himself as well as other players. No, other teams, I should say. It's just chaos, you know what I mean? But sometimes you just need that, you know what I mean? Just need somebody running crazy, you know what I mean? And that's Sakala's game. But back to Alfie. There's a good argument he is the best player. On his game, there's a good argument he is the best player at the club. And he does lead the line. There's no doubt about that. There's nobody in Scotland leads the line. I don't think there's many players in Britain lead the line as good as him. There is players in Britain that do it. But no, I'd say he's up there with the top, maybe 5 or 10 in the Britain at the moment who lead the line well. But unfortunately, he's not got the players running off him. He's just not got the players running about him who know how to play him.
I think in this league as well, Albert, I think because the teams are sitting in and we're playing packed defences, I think you see him getting that bit more room in Europe and he can sort of float a wee bit wider in Europe and that onto this touchline and then come inside, and I think he gets more space. But to me, in my opinion, I think Alfie is undroppable. I think we have to have him in our team every single week going forward in all competitions. I just think he's pivotal everything that we achieve and everything that we do. So for me, I just think if Alfie's fit, Alfie's got to lead the line for us as a number 9 and our centre forward. Port.
Aye, mate. I said earlier on, I totally agree and concur with your opinion on Alfie being the main focal point up front. The problem is I just don't think what we need to start doing, mate, is getting people closer to him. Because when he first came in, he was playing between the sticks. And he was scoring, in Europe and scoring in the league. And then he's reverted back to dropping deep again and getting the ball wide. And some of his interlinked and combination plays with like a tab and, we get his players with him is second to none, mate. So I think it's important that we get players in and around him. And I was going to say this earlier on, I think goal difference still might have a big part in this, title run, mate. I really do. And I think we need to get players in the box, and Rune Alfie is the main man to get more goals. I think that's going to be pivotal for the rest of the season. We need to start scoring, mate.
We do. I agree with you, but I think what's going to be pivotal for us this season, in my opinion, is just getting the points. I think we can't afford to lose a game in the league.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's that. It's that type of gave away that wee gap that we had, and I think it's pivotal that we win every single game in that league, and I think that's the only way that we'll win the league. And I think that's what I think the players know that, and we should all know that. We can't afford any more slip-ups, so we've got to win the league. All right, I'm glad that I'm glad Albert. Glad you had a different opinion, mate. I thought you might have still said Alfie, but I agree with what you're saying regarding Roof, and maybe we'll touch on Roof later on when we're talking about other players. I know he was.
That was 3-1. I was 3-1. 3-1 to Alfie, so Alfie's winning that one.
Aye. We'll take 3-1 a week on Sunday, mate. No problem.
Can I just come in and can I say something else about?
Yeah, Brad, John, you go, pal.
Alfie found himself to be one of the most hated players in Scottish football, and apparently he's a lovely guy. Why would he be so hated? Is it because he scored goals, or is it because
agenda, mate? It's an agenda.
That's exactly what it was. It was an agenda. Yeah. Absolutely, you're right.
Brad,
so that's all I wanted to say. I thought that was disgraceful what they did to him, and the referees were part and parcel of it all. And I'll never forget Scott Brown laughing at him as if he went off the park after he instigated the trouble by running his studs down the back of his leg, and Alfie caught him with the elbow allegedly. Well, I don't think he touched him. He dived down, somebody killed him, and he's standing at the door waiting. I think Scott Brown did the exact same thing with young Kent, and I'm glad that guy's not playing Scotland anymore.
Well, we've evolved for that bridge now. I think Alfie, probably the birth of his child, and he has settled down a bit more. And I think he realises that he's more valuable on the park than off the park. And in fairness to him, the only time he was ever really off was when he was suspended, because he's another one that's robust and will play just about every single week for us, or does play just about every week unless he was suspended or rested in the odd game. But he's robust and he turns up for us week in, week out. But another player, I know he was actually spoke about Port, because you stole a bit of my thunder last night. So I'll leave you
to you leave your script. You leave your script in the office, mate. You left your script in the office and I took it.
What I'll do is I'll come to the centre half expert anyway on this one first, and I'll come to Bridgeman. And the other guy, Bridge, that I think is undroppable is Connor Goldstein between now and the end of the season.
Yeah, I couldn't disagree with you more. Getting on. He's the most reliable. He has been the most reliable player over the last number of years. You see these snatches at this season where he's not been quite as steady, but still, you couldn't drop him. You just couldn't drop him. He's up scoring goals as well now, like a centre forward. Doesn't it look as if he's a striker type person? My goodness gracious, he showed us the other day there he can put the ball in the net with a deftly flick, But I'll tell you now, a left footer would be very proud. I dare say Port Blair's left footer, so he would be quite proud of that. I think, yes, I agree with you 100%. He's the best centre half we've got and the best centre half we've had in a wee while. So definitely, for the last 10 years or so, best centre half we've got. And I don't want him to leave. I want the club to pull out all the stops, sign him up. That's what I want them to do. Get him to sign a new contract. Number one problem. Get him to sign a new contract. Sorry, that's what.
There is. I don't know. Like, obviously, there's nothing being mentioned, but who knows? Who knows? He's not already signed a pre-contract, and it's just not been mentioned. But
I think it'd be tragic for our club if we lose him.
I think he's been. I think for the amount of games he's played, Port. I think you talked about it last night. Obviously, he always makes himself available as well. You look at the amount of games he's racked up. Similar to Alfie, always turns out robust. Wasn't my cup of tea for a while, I'll be honest. But I can see the value that he talks to the players. He's always coaching them through the half, especially Bassey when he was in there. Port.
Aye, that's when he comes as much as I'm impressed with his ability, mate, and when we first got him, £3.5 million, he was, I can't class him as a Premier League game player because he didn't play there. So a good Championship player, didn't know much about him. Came in and he looked pretty, he looked at an average centre half, mate, when I first saw him. He's another one like Alfie, mate, that's evolved into a good, first team regular, always available, never injured, Mr. Reliable. And then he evolved further when we started playing in Europe. And I think he saves his best performances to Europe, if I'm totally honest with you, mate. I think his style of football suits that tournament, similar to Alfie's as well. So for the money we paid for him, mate, and the performances and what he's gave Rangers everything, mate, and he owes our club nothing. I want him to stay, but if he goes with my best wishes.
He's been a great servant. Albert, would you take him at the start, or did it take a while for you when you thought we had Katic at first, and obviously he gets shipped out and we've relied on the old manager when it brought him has relied on him, and obviously Gio's done the same now.
I've not taken him away on the start. I still don't rate the big guy. I think he's a big dozy heated trumpet. I really do. He's the mistakes that are in him is unforced mistakes. I'm talking about. Everybody's allowed to make mistakes. I listened to the show last night, and a lot of good points about him. And one of the points was made that everybody makes mistakes, but no every centre-half makes the mistakes that he makes. That's what annoys me about him. He can play brilliant, and then all of a sudden he's running with the ball and he lets it run away from him. Next thing he's chasing it to tackle. A tackle to get the ball back, which he had under control, and it really annoys me. And then he switches off at times when he shouldn't be switching off, and just things like that. He's all right. He's not the worst centre-half I've ever seen, but he's not the best either. He's one of the guys. I'm sticking with AK. That's what I'm going to say. I should just I'm only going to say one thing. AK, I stick with AK. I said last night I'd had his back, and I still say it. I agree with Alec Kelly what he says.
Hi guys, all centre backs. I want my centre back to be dominant. You want him to be putting his head in there, good on the deck. I think he's got that good cross pass. I think he does. I think sometimes when he's got time on the ball, Albert, he starts to think things he shouldn't be thinking about. Sometimes his distribution
he
can
lets
be
his mind
sloppy.
Wander. He does. He lets his mind wander.
But I think on the centre backs that we've got in the games that we've got, I think he's pivotal, that he's got to play week in, week out. He's the only sort of defender that you can rely on that's there every week, and that's how I'm thinking going forward.
On that basis, I agree with you. But if we had another centre-half there, I'd say, well, no, it's a 50-50 then, know what I mean? But we've not got one, so I'm talking rubbish, so he's got to play.
In fairness, but if I fling this to you, right, and we don't know, we're only talking hypothetical, right, but we've signed John Souttar, right? Now, you'd expect John Souttar to get in the team. You'd think he'll start. I would think he'll probably start for next season. My only worry about that is will you get 30 games out of a season out of him? Because at the moment, Connor Golston's busting numbers at 50 odds for us. And the longer you're playing in the team, as you know, you need to strike up partnerships with other players. So my worry is maybe Souttar, will he have the longevity that Golston's had? But obviously we'll not know until he comes and he gets a run of games. But going by his run of games at other clubs, it's not been that great. He's always picked up injuries.
Well, Souttar, I've not seen him play. I've not seen Souttar play that much, so I can't pass comment how good or bad that boy is. No, I mean, I'm reserving judgment to actually see him in the flesh in a Rangers jersey, and then I can say, I like that guy. But until that time, big Golston, the reason he's never injured, he never gets into a tackle, guys. He never tackles anybody. He keeps himself well at it. Sometimes he reads the game brilliantly, and you go, oh, that's excellent. But other times, look, I'll go back to Sunday's game. The rutted part. What do you know, day in the rutted part? Let the ball bounce. If it's coming out for height, come down for height, you don't let it bounce. What was he doing on Sunday? Letting the ball bounce. You're like, what are you doing this for? Don't let the ball bounce, you numbnut. No, I mean, get rid of the ball right away. But that's the sort of thing that annoys me with him. And you're sitting going, all they needed was one decent player and we were in trouble on Sunday. One decent player, that's what it took.
I think it's conditions. Sometimes you should have played the longer ball and that at times and moved sort of passes. But I think on the piece for like Portseed Bridge and what we paid for him and the service he's gave us, considering the amount of games he's played, and he's been successful as a league winner. I just think for the rest of the games going forward, Bridge, I think it's imperative that he starts every week in the defence for us.
Yeah, 100%, pal, 100%. You were mentioning John Suter. You look at the way Gold has sort of played himself over the last couple of seasons. Young Suter, when he comes into that, if he comes into your team, which he probably will, but he's got to remember one thing: he's playing with a blue jersey on his back now. He can't go out and do lunge tackles and things like this. It's too big, and it'll cause somebody an injury, and there'll be a big target for yellow cards. That's the truth. He didn't need to do too much. All he needs to do is the 50-50 ones that he's getting away with Hearts so now, and he does get away with them for sure. He's not going to get away with him when he's playing with Rangers, because the Rangers will target him, or the refs will target him, sorry. So that's the thing he needs to work about a bit. I think Goldson has covered all of those areas. He's not the fastest person in the world, and we know it, but he can get himself into good positions. I think this last couple of months, he hasn't been too steady, as I said earlier. He hasn't been the steadiest person in the park, whereas before he has been. Some of his diagonal passes haven't come off quite as nicely as they have in the past. But that might just be a number of things. Poor pitches, poor maintained pitches, things like that, you know. But yes, 100% he has to start, and we have to move all the mountains if we can to make sure he gets a game each week for us. He's got to be kept fit. That's it.
Well, Bridge, him and Tav are having weigh-ins, so I'm trying to figure out one of them is pregnant.
Very good, Albert, very good.
Do you think the fact that he's been at the club that long and we've drilled the defence, you know, the defence has been together, the majority of them with Balogun or Hollander, and only recently Bassey. But the fact that Connor's been there for the length of time and he's had Hollander and Balogun beside him, and in the league that we play in, do you think he's possibly shown up to be a better player, but maybe not as good as what he could be if he went, like we said before, quicker players down in England, I think would give him trouble. But I think up here for us, he's been pivotal and he's done the exact job that we've been looking for. Somebody that can command the defence, organise and show leadership.
That's what it is, mate. He's an absolute leader, and he organises well for you back, and that's the sort of leadership qualities I'm looking for. Because at times he's been switched from Bassey to Balogun, from Balogun to Hollander. You know, even Katic in his earlier days as well. And he's always been that senior centre back that's helped these guys through games. And where I've seen him, he's most comfortable is in Europe, where he gets time on the ball. It's a bit similar to the Premier League they play. I actually think he'd probably be a better player in the Premier League, because they get time on the ball down there and they get to put their foot in the ball and look up and ping a pass. Where in Scotland it's kick and rush football. Everyone's 100 metre an hour. But I honestly think that when Hollander was alongside him, because he doesn't really need to speak to Hollander a lot, because Hollander's a natural ball winner, he attacks everything, and I think that helped him concentrate on his own game at times. Because sometimes when you're looking at your own game, mate, and you're playing alongside somebody that's maybe a bit less senior than you are, and you're talking to him through the game, you're a vice captain, where he's always organising, mate. His mouth's always going. If you've been at games, you'll know this, mate. You'll see him, he's constantly organising.
Aye. Things you don't see in the telly, things you might not see in the telly when you're at the game, or even at Ibrox and you're watching them, and other things are happening on the park. If you take a wee glance, sometimes you'll see Connor Golston constantly, when it was Bassey, constantly talking to him, you know, and that's what we needed. And I know we've still lost some goals in that, but he has to think going forward, in my opinion. Connor Golston is another one on the list that must start every week.
He's the spine of your team. He's at the spine of your team, mate.
Sorry, Bridge?
Don't you think he's a consummate professional? You hardly ever see him in any trouble. You know, he gets about and does his job, you know.
Aye.
I think he's absolutely superb on the pitch.
Aye, 100%. The fact is, the bonus fact for us, I think, is the fact that he's not away in international duty. So for us, which brings me to the next player I was going to talk about, Port, I think, and he's not away in international duty either. But I think he's a must for us. Ryan Kent.
I think Kent's very unlucky, mate. He's not the captain. Some of the foremen, especially his form in Europe at times. I think just because of the level of players that's playing wide for England at the moment. Maybe if he was playing in Germany or playing in the English league, mate, he might have got a call up because Ryan Kent's been tearing it up, mate. And there is spells where, he gets marked out of the game in Scotland, and he's 2 and 3 players that on him, and he's been frustrated, and he's frustrated us as a player as well. But the guy's got magic in his boots, mate. And he's a match winner. Ryan Kent's capable of that. Wonder pass, wonder goal, or going in that mazy run where he eliminates defenders at will. And sets up, assists or goals, mate. So, Ryan Kent's, and he's one again. For me, he's got to be in the team because his creation and his skill and his ability to get a goal. I do think he should score more goals. Southside, I really do. I think Ryan Kent should be aiming for double figures for being a winger again in a Rangers squad. But I think that'll come. Unless we sell him in the summer. But for this season, Ryan Kent's got to start the rest of the games, mate. I agree with you.
Albert, do you think it's a factor that, see the goal that we scored against Red Star when he actually made the run towards Kamara and they laid it off? Is it maybe in Scotland you don't get that sort of space in room because everybody's packed, but do you think we lack putting Ryan Kent through at times, 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper? I mean, obviously Braga, if you think back, Aberdeen, he ran in with the goalkeeper to beat. To me, he's always creating more for us, or for Alfie or Roof or whoever's there, Sakala. Do you think it's maybe more we don't create enough for him? You get him through enough 1-on-1 with a goalkeeper?
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. I think he's wasted on the wing, personally. I don't think the boy's a winger. I think he's too good a player to play in the wing. In fact, if I had my way, I would swap him and Aribo. I would play Kent in Aribo's position, number 10, and I'd put Aribo out in the wing. If you want the other player to hug the touchline, get Aribo. But if you want somebody to really influence a game, Kent will you give him the right part, the right ball, the right place in that part, and he will influence the game. The trouble, he'll not get picked for it. He'll never get picked for England, by the way, no matter how good he plays, just because he doesn't score enough goals. That's a fact of life, mate. To get in that team, you'll need to outscore Sterling and all them. That'll take some doing to do that, because they're playing with some really brilliant players who create a lot of chances for them. But as a player, he's undroppable for us. There's no doubt about it. I mean, he's a superb player. On his game, he's a superb player. I think he's getting wasted in it right enough. I think like Port says, there's 2 or 3 players on him, just marking them right out of the game, which is a complete waste. It's a waste of a player.
I think his European performances there, Bridge, I think in Red Star over the 2 games, and also Dortmund, I think again the space and a bit of time, he was certainly flourished, and I think you put yourself on the map to teams in Europe. And I've always said, Bridge, I think when we sell a player at Rangers, I think what you do in Europe, we normally get your price figure up a bit, and they take more note in what you do in Europe than what you do in the Scottish Premier League, because like you say, you can score 25 goals up here and they'll just say, what does it matter? It's a 2-team league and all that. So I think it's what you're doing in Europe, Bridge, and I think he's done plenty for us in the last wee while, but still think he's important to the end of the season for us, that we must start him.
100%, yeah, can't disagree with you there. How much do you think he's worth? Honestly.
Starting 20.
Right. So would you go to 25?
That'd be my starting point, and I think what will happen to him, Bridgeman, because I know he got a lot after the Dortmund game. Ryan Kent got a lot of praise. Jude Bellingham even said that he could play at a higher level, and Jude Bellingham also said he should be considered for England. So a lot of people sat up and noticed Ryan Kent, as Southside touched on, against Dortmund, against Red Star. So I think a starting point would be 20 million, mate.
It's a 80 million, mate.
80 million. 80 million and playing at centre half for Man U.
I think it comes down to I think first of all, I think we'll get the phone lines open, guys. I think that's what we'll do, and we'll get some people in, and obviously then we'll come back to another player that I've got. Well, obviously there's two. Well, Ryan Jack was the other one that I would mention, but the fact he's just come back for injury, so I still think he is a must week in, week out. But if he's wanting to go into mute, guys, I think we'll get the phone lines opened.
I can absolutely agree with you there. 100% agree with you there. Ryan Jack.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972. It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
Aye, Bridge. I think Ryan Jack's another one, and hopefully if anybody's listening in, they might want to phone in and see if they agree with us or no. We're 3-1 on Alfie at the moment, and I think we're just about to all agree on Kent. I think, and we all bear. Oh, he's fell off his chair now.
His wife's put him in a swing.
Sorry, mate. Sorry.
No,
the bridge there.
Right.
Doing a bridge, man.
Yeah, I've seen right.
3-1 on Morelos and 3-1 on Golson, but I'm all in McKen. I definitely
all in McKen, and I take it you're all in with Ryan Jack as well, mate. I think we've got to agree that Ryan Jack's a big part of your midfield, and no matter who we put in beside him, he's made them flourish, Albert?
Aye, definitely. Him and Lundstrom, and I don't particularly like Lundstrom, but he's proven me wrong. The only thing, I'm only ever going to say Lundstrom's a player when we're sitting at least a double in that trophy cabinet at the end of the season, because what he dished up until recent times was mince, total mince. So he's got a point to prove now to us and to himself. But Jack, definitely. Jack, 100% in the team.
Bridgeman.
Yeah, as I said earlier, 100% for me as well. Ryan Jack, look, it's the boys are through hell, getting bitten back, getting fitter, and you've noticed it when he's fit, when he's playing. He's a real bonus for us. He does everything that we want a midfield, defensive midfielder to do, and he does it. And we can't ask for any more. Well, I love it. I love watching him play. I think he's a real talent. The youngsters should be able to watch him. The problem is, of course, he's carried his injuries. So, but we must work with that. But every game he's available. If he's fit in the team, he's got to start in our team 100%.
I think Port. I think it's the way he can drop in. I think it lets Tav go a lot further now. When we're wanting to release Tav forward, he goes forward, and you've got nothing to worry about when Ryan Jack's here, because he knows where to sit and where to be. I think also we've seen the difference in Lundstrom playing in beside him. I think Kamara as well, when he's been in there, he just adds that difference to the players, and I think he just gets a bit more out of them in the middle of the park for us.
Definitely, mate. I think Ryan Jack, he's all know my sort of feelings when we signed Jack. At best, I thought, I didn't even know what we were getting. I don't watch many teams outside Rangers, Southside, so I thought at best Ryan Jack would be a squad player. And over the years, the guy's proved me wrong, and he's proved to me that he can play at any level, which we've seen him play for Scotland and Europe for Rangers as well, mate. The guy's been excellent. Since he's come back from injury, we look 25% better team when he's in the team, in my opinion, mate. And he really seems to have struck a partnership up, as you said, with John Lundstrom. My midfield three for the rest of the season, mate, would be Lundstrom, Jack and Ramsey, and I'd put Aribo back out on that right-hand side, mate, with Morelos and Kent on the other side. I think Ryan Jack's got a massive part to play, mate. He's such as important Connor Goldson is at the back. Ryan Jack's that midfield general in there, the organiser, the guy that sets the standards to how we expect, Rangers players to play and battle and fight. And John Lundstrom seems to be rubbing off. He's rubbing off on John Lundstrom big time for me, mate. Definitely.
Talking about a guy that's got standards, I think we've been joined by Blue Star.
Evening, guys.
Standards. Wow.
Yeah, how you doing, Blue Star?
Aye, not bad. Agreed with most of what Albert says. The rest of you is very doubtful. For me, the last 4 European ties, because you can't count Scotland, because quite frankly, Goldson's been fun out in Scotland. And if you're fun out in Scotland, then for me, he's not good enough. For starters, his main problem for me isn't even on the deck. For me, he can't header a ball.
Blue Star.
Going towards goal or defending. I think he's one of the worst header of the balls we've had.
But I'm talking about. So you're saying you would drop him between now and the end of the season? Because I'm saying
no.
That was the question. Was
absolutely. I know that.
Undroppable, in my opinion.
Aye, absolutely, because he's not up against them. But for me, in the 4 European ties, and that's what I'm going on, because our Scottish game, we've got players there that are probably far better players than we even realise, simply because of the style of teams, the way they set up against us. But the 3 players that have been the most important over the last 4 European ties for me, and I don't even think there's any debate, certainly no Alfie. I don't think Alfie's shone up in the last 4 European games greatly at all. But for me, it's been Tav, Jack, without any shadow of doubt. Take Jack out of our midfield and we're not the same team, and nowhere near it. And Kent more than proved what the boy's capable of doing in the 4 European ties. He showed his worth far more than most of our players. But Jack, honestly, for a guy that's been out that amount of time, to come back in, even dare I say it, in the Old Firm game, and to produce what he did, having so long a layoff, was absolutely detriment to the rest of the midfielders that we had, in my opinion, because he showed them all up, and Albert's bang on when he's talking about Lundstrom. Lundstrom will not be there next season, guys. I'll put money on me. I'll put any amount of money to any charity he's like. Under Van Bronckhorst, he's far too slow a player. As is, dare I say it, that's Alfie's drawback. Alfie's got no pace. The amount of times that Kent puts Alfie in one-on-one, and he always has to stop and check back, pass the ball back, because he can't run away for a player. He hasn't got the speed. Again, I think you had a good point there when you mentioned Alfie. I think there's umpteen times that Alfie should be through and goal, his own goal, and he can't, because there's nobody ever next to him playing alongside him. Albert had a point there. Roof has to get managed, has to get far more games than what he's getting. Guys, can I put a curveball in? Just daft. If there's a big drawback in our next game, and say we only draw the game, would you be dropping some of the players and concentrating in Europe? There's one for you. I certainly would, because I think you got it bang on. We need to win all 7 games. We drop any 100%. Points that go on for me, and the league's gone. No doubt about it.
What do you think?
Everybody knows my feeling on European tournaments, mate. I think the league's still my bread and butter. I think that the European tournament is great for financial gain and notoriety and raising the profile of their club, raising the brand, making the brand bigger. But when you get to quarterfinals outside it, things become different. I mean, you get a favourable tie, a 50-50 tie in my opinion, where I think we could get a semi-final. I still like the league over the 2 of them, but when you get to semi-finals, mate, it's over a 2-legged tie. I don't think Rangers fear anybody, and I think there's more teams look over their shoulder at Rangers over 2 ties than anybody else, because I think we're such a dangerous side in Europe on that counter-attack. We're so quick. Mm-hmm. And it's like what Blue Star saying about Alfredo having no pace. Blue Star, you played the game, mate. If he's not got any pace, it's the work he does with his back to goal, mate. And we're looking for runners, aren't we? We're looking for Kent to be that blistering pace, and Ryan Jack going and getting involved, Aribo, whoever it may be. It's not been happening enough in Scotland.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. You need players running off him all the time. And sometimes I think you had a point when you mentioned Ruth. Ruth, when we got him, one of the first points I says to Ox, through his career, the guy's always been injured. And Ox argued the point. And so it proved. He's been more injured than he's had games for his guys. That's not to say that he's not a good finisher. He is a great finisher. But when he's fit, you've got to be able to use him better.
He is Blue Star, right? But in the system, I think that Gio wants to play, and I'll come to Albert and Bridgman. I think the system, he's looking for a quick winger on the right, somebody who can come in with pace or go to the byline. I think he likes his striker through the middle, and I think he likes a bit of pace on the other side, and we don't really have that. I don't think Roof will be there long enough anyway. I don't think Roof's his type of player. But I just think going forward that Alfie causes problems. He's scoring goals. He's in the mix. I mean, he banged that boy about 5 years at Ibrox in the European game. Goes up the park, we gets the corner, we gets the goal. Roof wouldn't have nudged him off the ball like that. Alfie's strong person. You know, absolutely. I was just looking at what we've got left to play all Blue Star. I was just thinking these players have to play every week for us. They're pivotal.
Agreed.
We can get away with one or two others coming in the route. So Albert, that's why I was saying to you, I think if Alfie's fit, Alfie starts more than Roof will start. But I could see a debate like you two are saying, Albert, but I still think he starts, in my opinion.
I mean, in reality, he will start. You're right. There's no doubt about it. He will start if he's fit. But getting back to Blue Star's point about if we don't get the result on Sunday, do we go after the two cups? I don't look at it that way. The way I look at it, you play all season to get yourself into this position where we are sitting right now, right? And you win. You go for the first tournament you can win. And the first tournament we can win is the league. Then you go to the Scottish Cup, then you go to the UEFA Cup. So you go after the first trophy first, and the first trophy is the league, and you put all your effort into winning that league. That's what you do. That's only logical.
Absolutely, guys. But my point is, if I know it's a big if, we don't want to think it that way, but I'm just trying to be realistic. What I'm saying is, in my opinion, all 7 games are a must win. I don't think we can even afford to draw one. What I'm saying is if the worst happened and we even drew the next game, for me, without any shadow of doubt, I've got to be honest, guys, my biggest problem with my team now is we're not scoring enough goals. And I think that's how we're weighed down when we're playing against teams that pack their defences, whereas that other mob, 9 times out of 10, they are scoring far more goals than us, and they've got a better variety. We've got too many players that we all know have got the ability and should be scoring more. But the fact of the matter is they're no. So for me, we've got to go out on Sunday. We must win that one. That's a must. And then, as you say, you would take it on for air game by game. You've got a great point when you started the show saying the ones that you reckon you can't draft. You're 100% right. There's nobody could disagree with you. Tav, Goldson, Jack,
Kent and Alfie
and Kent. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Tav, I'll come across you because I've just been joined by Peter. Tav Wismother, one Blue Star. You know, that made up the 5. But we've just been joined by Peter. How you doing, pal?
All right, how you all doing?
All right, Peter. What's your point, pal?
No, it's true what Blue Star's saying. I mean, the 7 cup finals, I think we've got left now. We need to win every single one of them. But the players know that, and the management know that. But as we've been saying, we need to try and find a way of getting Roof in. But I think he'll be away in the summer as well, just like most of us think. I think a lot of them will be away in the summer. But if the boys want to be here, they need to prove it. As we've been saying before, they need to prove it they want to be here. I mean, what bigger club can they play for? Rangers will be the biggest club they'll ever play for. You know, not a club even down south. You're Aston Villa's and that. They're nowhere near our class, our stature of club. And it's great to see Kent scoring against Red Star, patting the badge. You know, it just shows these boys want to be here. But they need to go and show it, and they've got 7 games to go and prove it, to go and win us this league and win us a cup. But just what Blue Star's saying there, if we don't win, go for Europe. To me, Europe is a bonus. I want the league and I want the Scottish Cup because I don't want us to put all this hard work in for them to then turn around and say we're a one-season wonder.
Aye, Peter, the league's the most important thing for me. Europe is a bonus. Don't get me wrong, it's been great if you get a chance to go away and watch Rangers and that, and you can travel and see the way we've turned it round and we've put ourselves on the map throughout Europe. But I'm still of the point, as I said to you on here, I wanted Braga. But I wanted Braga because we've got a settled squad that's played them before. They've changed their players, sold players. So I'm hoping that we'll have that advantage over them. Bridgeman, I'll come to you in this. So I thought Braga was a good one for us, but it's still hard to win this Europa League. Leipzig and Atlanta will be a hard game, Bridge, if we can get through Braga. And it's all right saying, can we go for the Europa League? But I still think we're a bit after that yet. I think if we drew against them, I still think we could still win the league. But I do say there's no drop points. So, but it's them and it's a league game. I think Europe is defined by two legs, and I just think, Bridge, I think Europe, I still think still a bridge. It could be too far, although we can still dream.
Well, the obvious is if we want to win the league, good chance if we win in next weekend, then that'll be a great chance for us to go and take this next step forward. If we don't win it, then it's a different ball game, you know. If we draw, still the same distance between the two teams, but it gives you less games to play to gather the points. If we can gather 3 points against them, that's a huge bonus. As far as Europe's concerned, everybody knows Europe is a bonus, but given the situation, what a marvellous situation that we're in, and a fabulous opportunity, we're not going to turn that down. We have to be able to play in two tournaments or 3 tournaments, whatever it takes. We can't ignore Europe, and we can't go in and say we're not going to play it. We have to play it. We're in the semi-finals of a major tournament. Sorry, quarterfinals of a major tournament. We just can't ignore it. We've got to play it and play it well. But obviously, a big worry is what's going to happen in the league. Well, the league's the first one up, so we have to take it on and do it. And if we can get 3 points out of that, my God, is that going to be great? I don't think there's going to be shall we say, a downtrodden Rangers fan anywhere in the world. They'd be extremely happy if we can beat them. 3 points after them, that's all I want.
Albert, I think it's about momentum. You know, we're coming off this break, and we have to. It's the biggest game. It's probably could be a bigger game this year than it maybe was last season against them.
What I'm saying is that, look,
every game's massive against them, don't get me wrong, but you know what I'm saying?
But I'm saying weeks ago that win 7 games, you win the league. That's a mathematical certainty, right? Win the 7 games, that's all you've got. Win the 7 games and you're guaranteed you win the league. But I'm not throwing in any towel. We drop any points. I'm throwing in no towel whatsoever, guys. No chance. I'm not giving them 7 games. They're going to win 7 games. Why are we saying they're going to win 7 games and we're no? No, I mean, no chance. Even if we don't win on Sunday, which I don't think is going to happen, I think we're going to win it. I think we're going to win it comfortable. But even if we don't win it or draw it, the league's not over, guys. No chance is this league over. It's going all the way. So get that in your heads. Or this, we drop any points, league's over. No, it's no. Not by a long shot.
No, it's certainly no. We're not going to never concede it. You know, I still think we're going to win it. You know, we've just made that a wee bit harder for ourselves now. But for me, it's got to be 7 wins in the league. That's what we've got to be looking for. You know, and like I said, Blue Star, that we can't be going up there to the Chamber of Secrets and getting a draw. It would suit them, but it will certainly not suit us. You know, so for me.
Aye, we're playing at home. We're in front of our own fans. We're 3 points behind, guys. We can't afford. Listen, you can't kid yourselves on here. We all know we're all saying the same thing. We're not getting it up if we don't win the game. Listen, you've got to be realistic. We've got to win that game. A draw's no use to us. We need to win that game. Be level in points. Then we're still 14 goals behind them, depending on how many we score on Sunday. So realistically, you've got 6 games left after that. We need 7 wins. End of story. Anything but 7 wins, I'm telling you now, it would take a very brave man not to say that we would still go on and win the league. Not a chance. A chance. We need to win that game, and that gives us the momentum, as you say. And then that puts us into a great frame of mind that gives our players the confidence, the momentum to drive on and say, right, we're going to do this now. We've cuffed that flipping shower. That's us levelling points, and that gives them even more momentum to go in against Braga. And for me, guys, you're right in what you say. I was one of the first on the show to say I wanted Braga in the next round. And the thing that fell into our path, fell onto our plate, and let's be honest, it is important. See, playing if we get by them, playing the first legs away from home, that's a terrific thing. If you can manage to get any result at all, and then you're bringing them back to Ibrox, you can't ask for any more.
Yeah, it's 100%. I think we've just been joined. I'll cut across you, Blues. I think we've been joined by Andy from Crookston. How you doing, Andrew?
Good evening, guys. How are you?
Hey, Andy.
Good evening. Aye, good bad new. How's yourselves?
Nah, everybody's good, pal. Floor's all yours.
Just first of all, and to answer your question about Goldson, to the end of the season, he's a must player for me every single game. To the end of the season, anyway. From the end of the season onwards, I'll make my mind up on that at a later stage. But the question I really wanted to ask you guys, I know you've been talking about certain players, but I've just been watching the Northern Ireland game there, and I thought that Davis was unfit. And he's just come on there. He's just come on as a substitute. And I thought he'd been unfit for many a week. And the question I wanted to put to the panel, he obviously isn't unfit. So is Gio, do you think Gio has got favour with Lundstrom over Davis? Would Jews have Lundstrom over Davis?
I think, Andrew, he had some medical issues. I think he was unwell for a wee while as well.
The COVID issue, yeah.
Possibly, I think along the lines. Obviously, he's no featured under Gio. I see he's probably featured in the night. So, Port, do you think there's much in it, or do you think it's just a case of limited game time and sort of struggled with a bit of illness, and he's coming back now at a crucial season, and probably other players are maybe in a more fitter position?
I think that's basically what's happened, mate. He's lost his place through to illness, first of all. But I also think, to a bit of an extent, mate, I think to play in the midfield right now, especially if you're playing the pivot in that deeper role where Jack and Lundstrom play, you need legs, mate. And what I mean by that is, guys that will run for 90 minutes, covering lots of miles, mate. I just don't know if Davis has got that in his locker anywhere. It's like Oxlade always says, it's under time wait for no man. And I just think maybe this squad, in terms of fitness, mate, has passed him by. But it's not to say he won't have a part in this running. At some point, we maybe need him to control and slow down games. But would I play him in that back holding role, mate? I'm not so sure, because I think Ryan Jack and Lundstrom have got miles in them, mate, absolute miles, and I don't think Davis has got that in his game.
Bridge,
he's a passing move guy.
Bridge, if you think back maybe 3 months ago, Jack and Lundstrom weren't even in the team together, and now we've got them in every week now, eh?
Yeah, it's a massive improvement in both of them. Remember, way back at the start of the season, Lundstrom was getting like man of the match for about 4 or 5 games in a row. And he was absolutely tremendous. Then his game fell apart a wee bit, I don't know what happened. His game fell apart a wee bit. Maybe a small injury, and he couldn't recover properly. But he's lately, the last, 10 games, he's been absolutely superb for us. There's not been very many he's been poor, but I think he's been absolutely superb for us. He's moved him into that specific position that he can mix in at centre half, if you follow what I mean, and step out. So I think he's moving in there just in front of the defence, and he's playing well, really well. And Jack lets Jack move as well, So I think they two guys, playing as they are, I'm afraid that Stephen Davis wouldn't get a look in, because they're on really top form, at the top of their game. However, you never know. One of them might get his toe stood on or something like that, and Davis might get called on. There you go.
As we've seen, Ryan Jack come back fit and fitted in straight away and shown a tremendous amount of fitness. I suppose
Wee Davis just scored. Where's Wee Davis just scored?
Wee Davis just scored, aye.
I suppose when you're looking at it, maybe he would have a bit of fitness, sort of freshness, let's say, going forward, Albert, that you could possibly include him, but do you think there's Ramsey still in front of him, and like you say, you've got Lundstram and Jack Kamara, so do you think we'll see him at all before the end of the season?
I don't think there's any player against any player now. I think it's just a squad you've got now, and it will be horses for courses, and he will play a part sometime. He will definitely play a part. I don't think he's up against, like, you play, it's either him or him you play. I think they'll pick the games for them and say, look, he'll suit this game. There will be games the wee man will come on and do a job for you, you know what I mean? We know how. He's not got the legs. I agree with Port. He's not got the legs, but it's not always about legs all the time. You know what I mean? You get 15 minutes out of that wee guy, and he shows you a wee crafty move, or gives a nice wee ball through for a goal. You'll be like, good grief, brilliant. So he didn't run about for 90 minutes, but he's got that in his locker to do that. So I think he'll play a part. I don't think he's a first team pick, but I don't think they'll go like that, right? Let the game is next Sunday, put him in for that game. Because, it's going to be 100 mile an hour, like it always is. So he'll not be up for a game like that.
I don't see him sort of coming in. I know he'd be a valuable player, and he's intelligent, he's clever. I just think he's a wee bit too far out the picture now to maybe make a contribution. I think Giles will rely on other players, and I think even at the moment, as much as you wouldn't think it, but I think even Sands might be in front of Stephen Davis in the squad, Blue Star, maybe before you'd see Stephen Davis getting back in the team.
I'd agree with you, mate, but for me, the one thing Davis still can, and I get it, he's all completely correct in what you're saying, but if you're talking about, he's obviously not going to be a starter unless with horrific injuries or something. But if you were talking about bringing him on for like a half an hour or that, the one thing Davis can do, he can run forward with a ball at his feet. Now, guys, I've got to keep saying this because Gio played him more than he was even flipping possible, going on what his performances were. If he could play Arfield in that role, when you actually watch the games and had limited touches, the stats against Arfield now are horrific. Well, I'll tell you, Davis in half an hour would be more prominent in any game than the likes of Arfield. I agree with you on Sands. I think it's obvious Gio likes Sands, but Sands maybe a kind of defensive guy, isn't he? Whereas Davo likes to get forward with the ball. It's going to be horses for courses because he's not going to be able to play. Well, we'd love to think he can. He can play he's top 13 and the rest of the running, but chances are he won't be able to. So if he proves his fitness, which he obviously can, you've got him, you've got Ramsey, you're right in what you're saying about Sands. They three guys have got, they're going to get minutes, absolutely no doubt about it. In my eyes, I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will.
Peter,
they won't be a starter, but no.
Peter, what do you think? Do you think Stephen Davis is very limited now at the end, or do you think he could maybe come out in any game? But we've got a league game against St Mirren, we've got the European games. I don't know if he's been put in the squad. I know he can make a new squad, so do you see any game time from going forward, pal?
I don't know, it's a hard one, isn't it? But hey, I've worked out Rangers have got something like 12 centre mids. It's scary when you count Hadji. Obviously, we can't use Hadji, but see the players you've had all before. You know all the players. We've got 12 centre mids. It was scary under Gerrard, the amount of midfielders we had. But then again, you look at just recently, the ones that are getting used, like your Arfields, your Jacks, your Lundstroms, your Ebos, Davis comes into that. But just to add, to obviously answer your question, it's a hard one with Davis, but then again, look at when Davis first came back, after his always finished, and he came back and proved us all wrong. So Davis, there you go, he scored for Northern Ireland again tonight, so you just never know. See against your St Mirren,
and he done it running to your midfield guys.
Aye.
So there you go. I just think your games like your Aberdeens, your Dundees, Dundee United, he could be the difference in those games at Ibrox or even at their part because he's been there, he's done it. He's won trophies, well, he knows what it takes to get there. So I just think he maybe could be a player that could help us out. But the squad's strong, that's what you want, though, and that's it. Champions squads are always strong, so that's just my
good point. Well, guys, if you'd like to get yourselves in mute, because it's time to have a wee tune, pal. So if you all get yourself in mute, we'll hear from you after the break.
Hi, I'm Wilbur from Rangers Radio.
Hi, I'm JFK from Rangers Radio.
It's been great to be able to assist in the raising of money for three Rangers causes: the M.A. Smiley Charity Foundation, the Rangers supporters Erskine Appeal and the Robert Mulholland Memorial Parade.
On behalf of Rangers Radio, we'd like to thank the following: Auto Fusion Hire, Alex Black Funeral Care, Sons of Struth, Assert Group, Plymouth True Blues, the Founders Trail, Heaven Sent Events, Upcycle Crafts by John, the Drumchapel Protestant Boys Flute Band, Graham Miller at the Kimpton Group, Tom Stoltman, the Red Hand Association, Zeithost Window Parts Limited and the Wee Rangers Club. Narinder Singh at Keller, Williams UK, Alan Sinclair, the Smiley family, EPL Exhausts, the Rangers Radio pundits and all our great listeners for their support and donations.
Furthermore, you can still take part on the Super 6 at www.shop.RangersRadio.online, where you can win a superb prize for just £5. The Super 6 champion will be the person with the most winners. In the event of a tie, a draw will take place. All races in Super 6 will be shown on Facebook.
If you can, please support our charity event on Saturday the 26th of March. Remember, we are the people.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972. It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
Hi, you can still donate at www.shop.RangersRadio.online, and if you pledge £5, you can enter the Super 6 races that will be shown live on Facebook if you can't attend. And also, everybody at Rangers Radio would like to thank everybody and every single person who's donated so far into the charities. It's been a wonderful effort by everybody, and we're thoroughly looking forward to it tomorrow night. I think after hearing that, Port, I think Bridge and Linda in the first advert, I think they set the standards pretty high. And I think after that, me and Big Stevie absolutely smashed it and took it to a new level. And then, if I'm honest, I think the other two, yourself and GB, and I thought Jimmy and Albert will give you a bit more to say, but I think me and Stevie's absolutely smashed the adverts. That's just my opinion. I don't know what you think.
So, do you think you guys are the winning?
Well, I wasn't meant to...
I don't care who won it. It took me 2 days to unravel my tongue after saying that.
Well, I wasn't meant to say Bridge, but Fox said I could let it out the bag. After our advert, Big Stevie's got a good chance of being the voiceover for Kelly Pies. And if you got an email, which I got, and I'm in the process of sorting out my contract at the moment. I can't reveal who it is at the moment, but you'll be surprised. So, what can you say to that?
Shocker, you are, boy. What a shocker!
So, if you get your email, you can come in. You've heard the 5 stars, well, we're 6 stars. So that's what it is.
Oh, for God almighty sake! What do you like? No, you were good. You were good. I have to say that. There. Although my favourite out of all of them was Bridgeman and Linda, but followed by Port Bear.
Port.
Oh, okay. Very good. Thanks very much, Bridgeman.
I actually thought Southside and Big Stevie must have had 55 attempts to get that one right. That's what I've got to say.
Bridgeman, let it be known, and I know Port will verify this, but me and Big Stevie were the quickest at it.
Mins.
That's it verified.
Southside, when we play the outtakes at Christmas, we'll sell the DVD, we'll find out exactly what happened.
Aye.
South, I thought you were going to say it was right off the cuff.
What a shocker. Imagine bringing Big Stevie into it. Oh, my
Peter,
God.
well, I'll tell you what, Peter's heard all the adverts, Peter. Tell them straight, who was the best?
Oh, come on. You can't bring Peter in there. You're only bringing a man down, for goodness sake.
They were all good. It was a great cause.
Aye, everybody's been superb, mate. It's been a great laugh. It's been a great laugh doing it.
Aye.
You know. It was a great laugh.
Congratulations to everybody, because it was real fun doing it as well. I'll tell you, really good fun.
And we're still waiting to hear from Emily Sandy Southside to see if she's going to attend the night or not.
I'm sure GB's on that.
Oh, shocker. Sure,
No, well, like I say, everybody, Rangers Radio is grateful for everybody that's contributed. You know, it's been a lot of good prizes, Port, as you know. A lot of people have put a lot of good prizes forward there.
A Herculean effort, mate. Honestly, by all the Rangers Radio panellists, you know, Oxchair, all the listeners who've kindly donated, mate. Some people know who you are. You've wanted to remain anonymous, but you still put your shoulder at the wheel and you know, put some money to some right good charities. So thanks very much to everybody. And all going to go to our good night tomorrow night, mate. And I'm sure it's going to be an amazing night. I'm still buzzing, and I'm not going to sleep tonight either, mate. I can't wait.
I'm looking forward to seeing you again, Port. It's been a wee while since I saw you, mate. So
I know, mate. I can't wait to meet everybody.
There's a few I don't want to meet.
Right, I'll cut across these guys and we'll bring Billy in. How you doing, Billy?
All right, gents. What's happening, guys? You all right?
All right, Billy.
You all right, Billy?
Aye, good, mate.
Aye, Billy.
Aye, sound. I was just listening to the show there, as always, and I was just looking at some of the stats, guys, just to throw. I'm an awful guy for the stats. I like watching them because they're a period of the season and that these all average yourselves out. So if you just bear with me, right? Big Roof, right? He's played a total of 66 games for the Rangers, and he's obviously been out injured, and he's scored 30 goals in 66 games.
Right.
Now, that's not a bad average, by the way, for a guy that's only played 66 games, plus out the games he's been injured. And when we played Celtic, mind we beat them 4-1 last season.
You're swearing again, Billy.
Aye, true, mate. What? When we played the dark side, how's that? That better, mate.
Oh, do
when we played, right, Brad. When we played the dark side, right, we played Roof and Morelos up top together, right? And the formation we played that day was a 4-3-1-2. And the team was Tavernier, Golson, Barisic, and Simpson. Remember him? Mm-hmm. And it was a midfield three, a Camara, Davis, and Aribo on the left. And Ryan Kent was playing in the number 10, and Roof and Morelos were up front. That was the team. Right, now I'm going to go to the league table now, just for a wee interest. The dark side have won 24, we've won 22. They've drew 4, we've drew 7. They've lost 3, we've lost 2. Right? Our goals for so far, the dark side's for so far is 69 against 18. Right? Rangers 62 against 12. Sorry, I do apologise. 62 against 25, right? Now, out the 69 goals that Rangers have scored, right? Alfie has scored 11 of them. The other 51 have been spread throughout the Rangers team. Now, when you look at the dark side, right, this is where it gets interesting, right? They have scored, obviously, 69 goals, right? Now, out of these 69 goals, they've only scored one more goal than Rangers throughout their team with 52. And they've got 2 players on 9 and 8, which equals 17. So, that's telling me, obviously, they're sitting 3 points in front of us. That's telling me all's not lost, guys. No in these stats anyway. And I know football is not played in stats for a start, but that is stats up until we play them on Sunday, a week on Sunday.
I think things have changed, Billy, I know, when we played Roof and Alfie up front. No, their team and our teams. To me, this is just a 7-game shootout for the league.
Oh, yeah.
That's it for me. Peter, it's a 7-game, and it'll no matter about who scored and when they scored. It's just about us turning up on the day, performing, showing a bit of heart and fight, and hopefully we get the 3 points. Peter, that's what it's about now at the end of the season, eh?
Aye, that's what we've got to do. Go and win the 7 games, and go and make Scottish football scared of us. At the end of the day, that's what we want. Because you want a bit of fear playing Rangers. Nobody to turn up and think they're going to get an easy week out of us. You want to go and put the fear in all these games for the last seven games. That's what you want. Especially with them on Sunday. You want to put the fear in them. You want to put Ange under a bit of pressure, something he's not had this season. And then we'll see who can handle it. Who can handle being in a right title challenge.
Yep.
Bear.
Exactly right. Sorry, mate. We're going to ask me a question.
When you look at our squad, right, we've got Aaron Ramsey now, hopefully, I think he's hopefully going to get fit enough to hopefully start producing for us. So I think if you can get him in the number 10 role, I think against Dundee in the 2 games, I think he showed enough. He obviously nicked a goal, but I think he showed enough that he's getting in the box. Mm-hmm.
Totally
he's already started producing. He scored against Dundee. So as far as I'm concerned, he's already producing. So he's now part of the squad, and he will play a part. There's no doubt about it. I watched him last night. He will play a part. And you're right. It's just a 7-game shootout. Who gets the most points out of the 7 games wins the league? It's as simple as that. You know what I mean? And the mathematics is win the 7, you win the league. Simples, as they say. Mm-hmm. But we're saying it, and it's easy to say, but difficult to do. It's only difficult is if you let it. If you every wee dunt you get, every wee setback, you let it get to you. Well, on Sunday we got a setback right away. We won nothing down. Did I let it get to us? No, we didn't. That shows good. That gave me great heart. They kept going and going and going and going. They're quite easy for your heart to go at the game, and people start to hide and don't want to know. But they didn't. To a man, everybody stood up. To a man, including subs, they all get tore into it. Everybody tried. Everybody get tore in. And I went, now we're up for this. We're definitely up for this. The game at Parkhead, or the Pedal Dome, the first half especially, never repeat that, because people that day, and one person in particular, finished with me, absolutely finished. Can't wait till the guy's out the door now. I'm not going to get it. I'm not going to keep harping on about it. But his career is done at Rangers, and that's what happens if you don't stand up.
I think early years. I think we're all at an age in here. We've been up at the Chamber of Secrets and seen a dreadful performance and a dreadful game. The team's no showed up. Sometimes collectively, and sometimes you could pick 3 or 4 players individually. I don't think you get the best of help that night for Kent either. I think it was a shambolic full team performance. But
it was.
I agree with you saying.
I'm not blaming one guy.
No, it certainly knocked his confidence. Andrew, just before I let you go, pal, so getting some more callers in and that.
No problem.
Do you see Aaron Ramsey going forward? Do you think if he's fit enough, we'll get him in the team? He'll start to prove make us a better team and get some goals from midfield.
From what I've seen for Aaron Ramsey in the 2 Dundee games and last night, yes, absolutely 100%. As we know, we don't need to go over it again. It was a potato field we played on at Dundee twice. The guy's a natural football player, and yes, he will, without doubt, he will make a difference. I'm positive it in the running.
No shit, Andy.
I think so myself, pal.
Yeah.
Right, Andy, I'll let you go now.
All right,
I've
guys.
got a few more calls, but thanks for calling in as always.
Right,
all right,
all the best, guys. No more. Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care, mate.
All the best, guys.
Southside, I'll call out and all, mate. Listen, all the best tomorrow night. I'm hoping to make it there, but it's all going to depend if I get somebody to look after my mother. But if not, I'm with you in spirit, and I know you'll have a brilliant night. As regards to our team, for me, first and foremost, we're game a week on Sunday. It's a must win 3 points, guys. Am I right in thinking out of 7 games, we're guaranteed 4 homes? We are, aren't we? Because of the split, because we're champions, we're supposed to get 4 and they get 3.
I think it's usually 3 and 2 all the time, to be honest, Blue Star.
Right. Well, going on that anyhow, for me, at Ibrox, in front of our own fans, we've got to show a statement of intent, and we must win that game. We won that game, and I think we're more than capable of taking care of all our games. but I think we really, really have to win our first game. But good show, guys, and all the best for tomorrow night. Okay, guys.
Thanks.
Cheers, mate.
Port.
Aye, no, but just when you're touching on Ramsey there, mate, for me, it starts against Celtic at Ibrox, mate. I think that game's tailor-made for the man. I think what he's shown against Dundee on that pitch, a tight pitch, with basically 11 men behind the ball, and then he goes last night, and he was, his first 60 minutes for Wales, mate, he was strutting his stuff, he was everywhere, and he looked fit, he looked strong. He was holding the back end of his bum cheek at his left leg last night, so that tells me maybe his hamstring, but that also could be crap, mate, because he's not played 90 minutes for a long, long time. But what he showed me in the last 3 games,
I think I was a con for it.
It may have been, mate. It may have been. But I think he should start against Celtic, and I would put a Rebo out on that right-hand side as well against them.
I was hoping that while he was struggling for a bit of fitness, I was hoping that now was the time to go. I thought if we could get him back for this game against them, Ibrox, then I thought if we can get him firing and he scores or he contributes, and then hopefully for then on he's in our team week in, week out, and I think he looked a threat, Billy, in the last 2 games against Dundee, where he's got himself in the box, in both games, which we've seen how his time is playing. He likes to get in the box. He has a threat for midfield.
He likes to run beyond the strikers, doesn't he? He's that type of player. That was his trademark run when he was playing with Arsenal. You know what I mean? Money goals that he scored with Arsenal when he was making the runs into the box. But listen, I thought he played night. Did he? He played no. Did he not play 90 minutes last night?
Aye, he did.
Aye. But he just holding his back his hammy when he was coming off. He's maybe just a wee bit tight. You know what I mean? Because he's not had the game time.
But his hammy or was his bum? His bum he was holding.
Bottom of his bum, man. He tapped with the hamstring, basically.
He grabbed it last night because he kicked the ball away to waste time, and he's trying to kid on to the referee that he pulled his. There's nothing wrong with him. Absolutely nothing. He done a big mad run after it. Right after it, he done a big mad run.
I think it was his bum.
Right, one at a time, or I can't hear everybody. On you go, Albert.
Me? You want me to go?
Aye, well, I'll ask you a question, right? Well, you're talking, he's going to take a minute to think, and then I'll come round you, so I'll come to Peter next after yourself. You look at Scott Wright, Diallo. Do you think they're going to contribute? Do you think we need them, that they might have to be used? Can you see a place for them in the team?
We probably need them, but I don't think they're going to contribute because I think they're hopeless, the two of them. I don't think they'll get the heart for it. I really don't think they'll get the heart for it. And this is the time of the season where you need to all be standing up here. You can't be shrinking violets now. It's just not going to work. So you need to get yourself. You need to know what you're doing. And I don't think the two of them know what they're doing. There's not enough experience at this level. There's not enough know-how. And you don't want to take a risk with them. You really don't want to take. If you have to put it this way, you don't want to have to depend on them.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But we might have to depend on them for a game or two at some point. Because I just think in the way we play, we want a bit of pace in the flank, and I think we can't discount them. But Peter, do you think? Put it
this way, right? Sorry, let me come
Peter,
back.
do you think? Peter, do you think that? What you guys say? Right, Wilbur.
I think rather than depend on them, we change our system. I think that's what Van Bronckhorst will do. He'll not rely on them. We'll change his system rather than, if it comes down to it, to rely on them or change the system, we'll change the system. Sorry, mate. That's all I'm going to say.
No, well, to me it looks like then it's been a wasted project then, Peter, bringing him in, Dalio.
I think I hate to say it, I think it's been a wasted project in both of them, the way it's looking now. Yes, Scott Wright was good at Aberdeen, but you could argue, and I don't like saying it, but you could argue then, is that his level? Because, he's had a few good games for Rangers, and I know he's not had a lot, but see the games he has. Look at the Hibs game at Ibrox. It was a night you were needing men to be counted, stand up. He never done it. He wilted under the pressure, and as I said, I don't like saying it about Rangers players, but I just don't think Scott Wright's going to cut it. Diallo just looks like a young boy caught in headlights, and if he's not going to cut it, he's not going to cut it, Man U.
No, I think Diallo, I don't know why we took him with an under-23 team. I think it was probably to bolster numbers, but I think Scott Wright's had a couple of bad games, but I think he's got something. I think it's like anything when you play in the wing. Sakala's been the same, although he's made a difference because I think he scored 7 goals or something this season, maybe 8. He made an impact player. Is it 12 and all? But in total, Port, I think that's the thing with Scott Wright. When he's had his chances, he's not exactly took them.
No, and if you remember right, when Gio first came in, mate, he did give him a couple of starts, and the young lad never took his opportunity, and that's when he's let himself down. Could he have an impact in the rest of the season? It's like I mentioned on here before, mate. I know we've spoken about this. Does Gio trust him enough, Southside? Does he trust Diallo enough as well? And I think that's what it comes down to. I still think there's like maybe a core of 14 that the manager will just continue to use for the next 7 games, mate, for consistency, continuity, and just simply he doesn't trust Wright, he doesn't trust Diallo to do the defensive side of the game, which you need to be doing as well as, you know, going forward if you're playing on your wings, because Kent gets back in tracks, which he's superb at, and Aribo, when he played on that right side, get back and helped as well, and that because we've got a right back that likes to maraud forward, and I'm glad Giovanni's went back to that. If you remember, he was putting the handbrake on Tav, and we were losing assists, we were losing his goal threat, but he's took the handbrake off Tav, so Jack's been covering, like you touched on earlier on, mate, but I can't see Diallo or Wright having much today, if anything at all, mate, with the remainder of the season.
Can I come in now?
Yeah, on you go.
I like the boy to start with. I like the young lad to start with. Look very good. I like players that have got good, clean footwork. But I'm afraid we saw the worst of him in the sense of cowardice, in my opinion. And that might just be because he wasn't sure where he was, you know. But he's shirked out of tackles many times, and we can't afford that at Rangers. Can't afford that. I doubt very much if the boy's going to play, even come on as a sub now at the end of the season, because they're all going to be really tough games. I mean, tough games, you know. And I wish him nothing but well. And if he does get a chance to come in, I hope he's a different player when he comes on. But I doubt very much he'll ever play for Rangers again. I doubt it very much.
No, see when you look at the midfield, Billy, right? If we're looking at it, say, come Sunday, when the game comes around a week on Sunday, if you've got Ryan Jacks going to start, and most people are wanting to put Lundstrom in beside him, if you've got a fit Aaron Ramsey, Ken, and Aribo, because most people are going for Aribo on the right, then that leaves you no Glenn Kamara.
I was actually just thinking about that the other night, mate. Glenn Kamara is a cracking wee football player. He opens doors in tight areas of the park, so he does. That's a tricky one. It's a very tricky one. As Albert said earlier on, it's horses for courses. But I think with the football ability Aaron Ramsey's got, he'll start it on Sunday like a really do. Especially when we get another good 90 under his belt there. But it's got to be an interesting one with Camera. Regarding the other two players that you were talking about, Diallo, no for me. He's no heart, and it doesn't matter. You can have all the ability in the world, you've got to have heart. He's not got heart, and in my opinion, he's a stain too light for the Scottish game. A stone too light. Regarding the laddie Wright, I can't see him doing anything at the end of the season. I think there's more chance the young laddie Lowry getting a few cameos in there, bringing them on and games and all that, just to open doors. Because I mean, you've seen him against the Celtic in the last game there. The goal he scored for the edge of the box was just different class, and he scored a free kick for Scotland there, man. It was David Beckham stuff, you know what I mean? I
think he's got talent, and I believe he's got ability. I believe he's got to bulk himself up. He's scoring goals in the B team at that level, although he's supposed to be a wee bit head and shoulders above some of the players. Mm-hmm. This is a crucial part of the season for us.
Yep.
You know, we're fighting in all fronts, all bare. Yep. And I can appreciate trying to get him in the team, but like we said, we've just looked at a team there and you've not got an experienced player like Glenn Kamara. If you're getting maybe Lundstrom a game and you maybe know what to play Kamara in there, you know.
I'll give you a
and
straight choice then.
you're trying to put in Lowry into the team.
Well, I'll give you a straight choice and give round the panel weight as well. If you had to, and we're a sticky wicket, and we have to because of injuries or whatever, suspensions, and we need to bring players in, and the choice is, do you bring Lowry in or do you bring Diallo in? What would you do? I know I'd pick.
I would probably Diallo for me. He's not a Rangers player. He will be a good player, no doubt. He'll play at some type of level. He's valued at a lot of money, but a lot of these boys are like that. He's not had a chance since what probably come on against Annan. I think was the last time maybe I've seen him. Dundee United, obviously, Tannadice, but I know what you're saying. Lowry will probably get wee bits of game time, I think, going forward. I just think the games are that big now. I would probably fling. I mean, like you're saying, Riff's not even getting in that team at the moment, and if you're trying to put him into a team, I think you've got to lose that right hand side and let Tav bomb down there, then to try and get Riff more inside the park. Port playing as sort of in a false 10 like Gerrard used to play. Don't think you can play him out in the wing. Don't know what you think, Port.
No, I've said about Lowry. As much as ability he's got, one thing he's not got, guys, is pace. Lowry's he's not a ball. He's a ball carrier, but he's no pace to run in behind. But he's got excellent skill and ability. I said it last night on the show. I think this season maybe just come a wee bit too early for him because of the nature of the running and the importance of the games. But I think he'll have a big part to play next season, mate. But I'll say it again, he needs to bulk up. Southside, he needs to bulk up, mate.
Diallo or Lowry? Who would you put on?
Lowry, mate. All day long. I just think he's got more fight in him, and you can't put fight into a dog, mate. And I don't think Diallo's got any in him. I think he's a bit of a coward, mate. I don't doubt his ability on the ball. Great ball carrier, great dribbler. Lovely to watch. But unfortunately, not in your league. You see how hard Ryan Kent finds it at times, and he's a great player. It's used to a league. It's a tough league to crack, Scotland. People underestimate it, but I'll tell you, there's a lot better players than Diallo come up here and field guys.
Definitely.
But do you think he's ready, Peter? Do you think we've still got to introduce him when we can?
I think Gio's doing the right thing with me now. Yeah, I've been calling for him to play, but seeing you sit back and think about it, Gio's doing the right thing, flitting him in and out of the team, getting him used to it, getting him used to training, letting him play B team games, letting him see if he can stand out. So I agree with Port. Next season, I think we'll see a lot of Lowry more in it. Because then Gio can send him away in the summer with a programme. He can go and do it, bulk himself up, and then next season. Because at the end of the day, we don't want to burn him out either, because he's just a young boy.
Correct. It's a lot of games. I mean, you're talking about European games, and you've seen the physicality like Red Star Belgrade last week, and you look at the physicality.
South, asked him the question. Diallo, you get to put one of them on, and I must have to put one.
I would put Lowry on.
I'd put Lowry on. I'd put Lowry on as well all day long, but it's just the thing, innit? It's, as I said, you bring him on all day long. He's a Rangers boy. He knows the club. He knows the traditions. He knows we've got to win. Win's not acceptable. With Diallo, he came on against Dundee United. Maybe he was going to let a ball go out for a goal kick, and you seen Tav screaming at him. You need to go and chase that. You need to go and keep it in, because then we need to win. And that's what it comes down to, because Lowry knows all that as well, because he's a Rangers boy.
Absolutely.
Sorry, can I come in on that?
Yeah, and you go, Bridge.
I have to say what the boys have been saying is true. Lowry before the boy, the young lad, Dalio, every day of the week, and tomorrow twice on a Sunday. Just no way. The boy's got a lot of, looks like he's got a lot of skills. Mm-hmm. And when he's in among boys, he's in his own size or slightly bigger. But when he's up against bloody professionals, particularly some of the rough teams or the rougher teams, the tougher teams, he's not going to last. He wouldn't last up here for 5 minutes. But I think he's obviously got his own style of football, and if he can get playing that style of football, he'll do well. But it reminded me, the young lad that went with us and they ended up attacking him one after the other. And what has he got? They gave him a doing on the pitch.
There's a game at Motherwell at home.
That's it. Yeah.
The wee boy went down the wing and the big boy hoofed him enough onto the east enclosure.
Oh my goodness gracious! Shocking things. I can't remember the boy's name for the life of me. Maybe Fortbear will remember it. But they were taking turns in whacking him, you know. And he goes,
sorry, mate.
Go on, pal.
Aye.
Sorry, mate. Listen, here's one for these as well. Do you think it's a bit of a Scottish mentality thing here that with players? I mean, I'm a great believer in the saying, if you're good enough, you're old enough. Right now, I always remember Derek Johnson making his debut in a cup final at 16-year-old. Right. I remember when Barry Ferguson made his debut when Dick Advocaat wanted to build the team round about him. Right now, I'm not saying Alec Rowley's a Barry Ferguson or a Derek Johnson, right? But what I'm saying is, when we've got these guys with potential like that and shown like that, I want to see them playing. I want to see them getting tested in big games to see how they're going to come out, right? Because it's not as if you're going to have 11 Alec Lowrys in the team. You're going to have another 9 outfield players in the team with experience round about the laddie to talk him through the games. And the raw talent that he's got would see him through the games when he's got players like Ryan Jack, Ryan Kent, the Alfredo Moreles's, you know what I mean, the Joe Aribos, right? They're young guys, but they're mature football players. They're internationalists.
I think when you're looking at the age gap, and if you look at Joe Aribo, when he was 17, 18, where he was playing, Ryan Kent, the same. I mean, Lowry is a good talent, and I'd love to see him be able to go into the first team and be playing and play weekend and show us what he's got. But look at what we've got. We've got these games left. You're talking about big game in Europe against Braga, and we all want Braga, but we've got to get through that. And then we look at the next one. We're getting into a semi-final of Europa League, and now we're talking about, can we throw Lowry into this team and start him? When we're sitting saying about for a couple of minutes ago, if we can get Ramsey fit and firing, he'll make a difference to our team, Billy. So, maybe next season, but see, to be honest, Port and then Old Bear, the team's getting overhauled at the end of this season anyway. That squad will go, the vast majority of them, and we'll be cheering on a new set of players without a question of doubt. I don't believe there'll be many that will stay. So I think it's an overhaul anyway, regardless, and Gio will bring players in Port that he knows can play the positions that he wants his team to be playing in, high tempo, fast or whatever.
I agree 100%, mate. I think this team's coming to the end of a shelf life, mate. There's a lot of guys been there, 3 years upwards, 4 years, 5 years. Tav, that's been a long time. I think he'll retain rights of guys like Tav, but I think in the system and the philosophy he wants to play, I still think he's got, square pegs and round holes, because he's having to make do with what Gerrard's left him, but he's still trying to put his philosophy and his style across. But until he gets his own guys in, mate, he won't be able to implement his style fully until he gets his squad. So I think, as I said, this team's come to the end of its shelf life, and it's out with the old heroes, mate, and in with the new. And I think also the team's also evolving to a stage where guys like Borna Barisic he's been great, a great servant for the club, mate. But these guys are getting left behind now because your squad and our team's actually getting better than Borna Barisic's level, if that makes sense. As much as I think he's a good international player and he's been great for our club, we're now like Calvin Bassey, mate, 19 years of age, and he's already overtaken Borna Barisic. That's the level. Calvin Bassey, for me, that's the starting level. A 19-year-old boy that can play the way he plays, with the passion, the heart, the drive, the fight. I love him. I love Calvin Bassey, mate. That guy, for me, sets the standards.
He's shown he's powerful. Albert, do you think, then Peter, Albert, do you think that's when Lowry next season, he'll have to go and fight with the new squad of players that Gio's going to be bringing to the club? And Gio maybe then I'll be thinking, well, will I make him part of my plans for next season?
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. What I'm saying about him this season is, if he had to have made a choice and put one of the two players, it would be Lowry. I'm not saying he's ready for the first team to play regular this season. He will be. He'll be asked a lot of questions for next season, but the new it's all fun and frolics and having a laugh and getting in, and he's playing well. Next season, the pressure goes on, going, right, you need to start getting into the team and staying in the team. Now, that's a different ball game altogether now, and you need to perform when you're in there. So he's no anywhere near that yet. He's no understanding it either, because he acts like a boy, talks like a boy, plays like a boy. But eventually, that will get knocked out. It will be, you're a professional football player, son. Standards are asked of you, standards are demanded of you, and you've got to meet them. So next season, I don't think he'll play all the games next season, but he'll play a lot more than he's been playing this season.
If you think maybe what I said before with Patterson, if you could maybe get 20 games coming on or something like that in a season and bringing them through, because what happens is the young boys get a taste of it, and then obviously they've got to get back down, and then obviously they look at attitude, Peter, and that's probably what they've been looking at. He is better. He is too good for the B team. He's probably, when he played against Stirling Albion, he was a level, that was his level possibly and above. But I still think he's just that wee bit off still, first team level in the Premier League.
I know, they're great points, and great point about Bassey as well. As we said, Borna, what a player, but Bassey's came in this season. But then Lowry can look at Bassey last season.
Yep.
When he came in, he was just flitting in out the team, and that's what Lowry's doing this season. So then he can go in the summer and he can think, you know what, I want this starting spot in the team, but he needs to prove it, and he'll need to show them that he's matured enough that he can come in the team. I'm not saying he's mature as a player, but as your man said there, he's think like a boy, talks like a boy, and that will. And then next season, Gio will be looking for him to be, you know, a more mature player that he can rely on in big games effectively. But I've got a point for you. Where would you like to see the Rangers team get strengthened?
Oh, cracker.
I think it's a major over.
I first on that one.
Aye, Brad John, you go.
Centre half. Number one.
Oh, here we go again.
6'7", 20 stone.
That's the one I'm looking for. Yes.
I knew that, mate. I knew that.
To be honest, I think we'll probably have to look at a goalkeeper. I think you've got to look at basically Oya, because Tav's been a great servant, right? As much as I love Tav and where he's came from and what he's done for the club, and nobody made me happier than Tav lifting that league trophy for what he's had to go through, because he suffered it with me, you and everybody else. But basically, all over the park, Ramsey will not be there. He doesn't fancy Roof. Alfie will not be there. Kent could get sold, or Rebo could get sold. You know, Davis is finished. We really probably have to get about 14 players, I think, in the summer in a rebuild. Easy.
Put it this way, whose time do you think's up? Who do you think, well, you've run your race now, son, it's time for you to move on? I think there's a lot.
The goalkeeper probably, as much as I hate to say it, but I think, like you say, another season, sometimes you don't look as sharp as you did the season before and that. And I love McGregor, and he'll get his 100th cap in Europe and all that, and it'll be brilliant. But I think we need to look at a goalkeeper. And honestly, we'll need us 2 strikers, we'll need a couple of wingers, and we certainly need probably 3 or 4 midfielders. And as Bridges been shouting, centre halves.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'll add Peter there, at least 10, 12 players, easy, 14 players.
I did see the day that Ryan Kent's supposed to sign a new deal until 2027. Just see if anybody else had heard that.
I haven't, mate, no.
I hope you're right.
It's just it would be great.
I heard it was supposed to be happening, but, you know, the things are, it might know, you know, but with my word of Polish, if we're going to keep them.
We've got the 3 players, I think, in it. It's Aribo, Alfie, and was it Kent?
Mm-hmm.
And obviously Olsen's probably going to leave, so there are 3 assets, and they're coming down to a year of their contract in the summer, and we're supposed to have a player trading model, so we'll either we'll either look at it and shake their hands and say £1 million for Alfie, Kent, Aribo, 250,000 cross-border fee. So if we don't manage to sell them and they want to play in the Champions League and don't re-sign a contract, then I think we could say it wasn't ideal, but we certainly got our money's worth out of them.
Oh, definitely.
Travesty, but Southside, we never got a penny for them, I think, especially that quality that you're saying, Aribo, Morelos and Kent. Oh, that killed me, man.
It's hard, Port,
Yeah.
Billy, and it's hard because you're down to that year now, and you can't, unless you're going to hold them hostage, you know, they might think, well, I can go and sign on in 6 months and I can maybe play in the Champions League, or you maybe not sell them for as much as we could have, unless we can maybe get a deal signed and agree with them that if a good offer comes in, you can go. Protect the club, Billy.
Aye, that makes sense, I know, mate. But I'm hoping that our board have already opened negotiations with the players, with like your Alfies and your Kents and your Aribos and that, like, you know, because that'd be a right kick in the chapel halls, as they say, if we didn't get a shong for the players. There maybe what they could do as well, mate. They could be maybe saying, well, listen, I'll wait and see if I get Champions League football, because if they get the old chestnut is, if you get these players signing a 2 or 3 year deal on what they've got to know, right, and they go and shine in the Champions League, their stock's going to rise again. You know what I mean? So for talking sake, say you were getting 20 million for Kent now, the way he's performing, right? Alfredo, you know, he's only 3 goals, I think. The top league goal scorer, the top goal scorer, I think, for the Europa League type thing. Yeah. So, if you get him on a good contract, then they've got to pay the teams. If teams are wanting them, they've got to pay the big bucks to come and get them. It's as simple as that, because they're buying the contract to it. You know what I mean? Plus, you would imagine they'll have something written into their contract to say, well, listen, for talking sake, right, this is right, Alfie, we're going to offer you a contract we want you to sign a 3 year deal, right? And we want a clause in your contract for 30 million. Are you happy to sign that contract? And then you can sort something out along the type terms, type things. Because that's what all the other teams do. Because I'm sick and tired of seeing your good players getting sold for peanuts when they're worth a fortune. And
Billy,
you mark my words, mate. When they see if they get into the Champions League, big fella, when they get into the Champions League and they turn it on in the Champions League, that stock rises again.
Aye, I've always said on here, I think when we were selling players in the past, like Livingston, for instance, when he gets sold on his European performances because we played him through the middle and he was scoring goals. He can score goals in Scotland, but you're not always judged, you know. But when you date in Europe, so I just think that a year of their contracts left, and I just think now, Albert, you're getting to that stage where your money when you sell will probably be less, and certainly will be less than what we would have got with an extra year or two on the contract. And maybe the player will think it's time to go as well. You know.
Well, that's it. If he decides he wants to go, that's that, isn't it? But I think it's a disgrace that they've allowed him to get to this stage again with a year left in their contract. Put it this way, it's like Goldstein there. You put the contract in the new, the contract should be done the new, and if they don't sign it, they're off. It's as simple as that. You know, sign it. We'll not wait until maybe September if you make a decision. If you don't sign it by the time the closing, the date of the transfer window, you're off. You're definitely off. You've got a week before that. You've no signs, you're gone for whatever money you can get, because we can't afford to keep letting players walk away for nothing. That's stupid, because we get told by the directors that the selling is the model. We buy in cheap and sell expensive. You know what I mean? And we're not doing that. We're not doing it at all. And we need to start doing it. Okay, this season will be great because there's been money coming in left, right, and centre all over the place, but that's no guaranteed money. That's just money that we're actually producing now. But you're not going to. The transfer is where you've got to make your money for your investment back into your team and your squad.
and they better get on with it. They either sign these boys up or they sell them right away. No hesitation. No sentiment here. It's got to be done.
Talking about money.
Aye. You know, actually, Albert's absolutely 100%. Every word. That's what I would have said. Every word he said, I would have said it. They have to get whatever is training. Need to tell the players, this is what you need to do when it comes to wages. We're going to do this, and then you'll sign a contract, and either you either extend the contract or you don't. If you don't, you're sold. Now that comes up. Let's say 6 months before the end of or 6 weeks before the end of the term. 6 weeks isn't bad for them. There you go. Sign on for an extended period, or away you go.
Just before you answer, right? Is the problem possibly that we've got players on our maximum wage, and we're saying, can you sign another deal? But if the money's not going up and it's breaking the wage structure, then how are you expecting them to sign?
That's a massive part, mate. And we already know Alfie's had 2 or 3 top-ups. You know, he's had 2 or 3 top-ups, Southside in contracts. Not necessarily extensions, as in the term, but he's a top-up in wages, mate. I know that for a fact. So that could have happened to other players, and we've got a glass ceiling that they won't go through, mate. I don't think Rangers should ever break their transfer fee wages bracket. They should never break it, mate. We've read crap earlier on that Connor Goldson wanted 50 grand and all that. I heard it was about the length of the term, etc. But whatever the wage structure is, mate, we just can't break it. And I think, as you said, we might have to need to just shake hands and let these guys go. But I want a fee for them, because I think, like you're touching on, you think there could be as many as 10 or 14 brought in the summer. I think it's imperative, mate, we get money, because I don't think you get more than the targets that you really want unless there's money there to be had. And if players like Alfredo and Kent and Aribo come out to a certain extent, who I think is still a big asset to the club, I think if the M4 go, mate, you need serious money to replace them and to rebuild the squad.
Can I just ask a question on that, Forbear? You know, just take what do you call him, Goldson now. If Goldson's on the fringes of the shall we say, the contract limit, why are we not just saying to the guy, you know, you're going to finish up, and that's all there is to it, or tell the fans he's going to finish up, because we can't give him any more money. He's asking for more money, but we can't give him it because of the contract system that we're operating. And never get to that level, never get to that limit. We can't afford it. We can't afford for star players to just walk away. We should never be in the situation that, let's put it this way, the best centre-half in Scotland is walking away for Rangers, the champions, at the present moment the champions, and possibly going to get into Champions League if we follow through and win this and win that, or win the league. This is nonsense. Sorry, pal, I didn't mean to interrupt you too much, but just nonsense.
It could be contractual money. It could be length of contract. Could be maybe his missus and maybe want to go back down to England bridge. Nobody's really come out and said. He did say it before he never got a contract. I know Rangers are certainly crashing my ceiling, because if you check your emails, you'll see that they're in for the semi-final. They want their money for that, and they also want their money for Braga away. If you're going to that, the emails are out for that. I had the big on the phone. He phoned me up. He says, Southside, you're not going to believe this. He says, I've got my email in. He says, and I wanted to pay for his tickets, right? But I was busy at the time, so I'm not really hanging. I wasn't really paying attention to that. It's on the email. He said, aye, where? And he said, it says action now. So I says, well, hit that then, and that'll be you, right? So I went off the phone. 2 minutes later, the phone went again. He was going tonto by this time. He says, action wasn't working. So I had to stop what I was doing and actually go into the email, right? I was into the email and I says to him, see the bit at the bottom of the email where it says buy now? See if you hit that, Stevie, you might find you can purchase your tickets for the semi-final. Had no clue.
How much is the ticket?
25 and 35, Bridge.
Right.
Have you not got your email?
I've just got it in front of me. I just started scrolling down when you said
you need to hit buy now, because Stevie couldn't find how to buy it, but it's there in big letters.
I wouldn't be surprised, by the way, Southside, the Rangers have gave big goals now, a contract. He's took it home and lost at the big soapy-heated trumpet. Know what I mean?
Well, guys,
we one put it through a paper shredder.
Well, guys, that's us came to the end of the night. So I would like to thank you, Peter, for popping on. I'd also like to thank Blue Star and Andy for Crookston, and also Billy, who's come in and helped us out this evening as well. And also come to you, Albert, for some words before you go.
Fantastic conversation tonight again, guys. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And remember, by the way, there is nothing's done till it's done. So we're going for a lot. Onwards and upwards. We are the people.
Love it.
Port.
Hi, mate. Thanks again for having us, Bridgeman, Albert. You'll take your team behind the scenes as well. Superb night. Great discussion, mate. Great debate as always on here. Thanks for having us, mate, and all the best. I'll see you tomorrow night, troops.
Aye, Bridgeman.
Well, what can I say, by the way, so magic. Just a great night tonight. Everybody enjoyed it. A big thank you to my two associates. It took me through cohorts, right? It took us through it all. A wonderful night, and thanks to everybody. And by the way, to all the Rangers fans all over the world, in particular Rangers fans on here on Rangers Radio, every single one is, we know who we are. We are a people. Everybody keep it going to the Rangers because they need us. They need us badly. Keep it going.
Can I just say thanks to you guys, Bridgeman, Albert and Port, for helping us do the show tonight. I really appreciate it. I'd just like to thank everybody also for listening. Rangers Radio will be back on Monday night, and I believe that on Monday night, if everybody's not got a sore head, it'll be Bridgeman, Billy, JFK and Albert. So I'd like to thank you all for listening. Take it away, Old School Blue.
Rangers do not Ibrox is the place, and we will follow in the championship race. Yes, it's true, the boys in blue are just magic on the ball. The Glasgow Rangers football team's the greatest team of all. It's true, the magic boys in blue are the best team in the land. You've got to queue and govern to get a ticket for the stand. Yes, it's true, the boys in blue are just magic on the ball. The Glasgow Rangers football team's the greatest team of all. We've spent a lot of money on great players, yes that's true. But the Rangers fans deserve the best from the boys in royal blue. Yes it's true, the boys in blue are just magic on the ball. The Glasgow Rangers football team's the greatest team of all. The story, it was dismal, full of gloom. Now we're building an extension for the Ibrox trophy room. Yes, it's true, the boys in blue are just magic on the ball. The Glasgow Rangers football team's the greatest team of all. In Europe we'll be travelling by land and sea and plane. The teddy bears have got the fares and we're on the march again. Yes, it's true, the boys in blue are just magic on the ball. The Glasgow Rangers football team's the greatest team of all. Yes, it's true, the boys in blue are just magic on the ball. The Glasgow Rangers football team's the greatest team of all. Yes,